thought he was. I always saw Horford as a power forward to me, but then he started playing center so much. I don't know if he can go back to playing like a power forward. So if he can do that, then that could be really nice with him and Embiid. I don't see it working. I don't know what they're gonna do, but if it can work, then that's the best. That's the best sign of hope that they could have. They're saying that Ben can shoot. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either. Yeah, he's already retracted back on it. Yeah.
Yeah, Harris. Oh man, like he reminds me of. He doesn't play like him at all, but the way that you describe Zach LaVine, that's how I think of Harris. I just like
he's selfish.
He's definitely he's almost a
he
black
thinks
hole.
He's better than he is.
I'm not saying personality. I see he looks humble, but I just mean like he looks like a black hole. Like he wants to score right away. He'll give you 30, and then one game give you 14. It's like that's inexcusable. If you're a scorer, you're a scorer. If you can hit 30s, you shouldn't be under 14 in a basketball game when your team needs you. Because Simmons can't score. Why is there any excuse? Embiid's the leading scorer. So Harris, if they're giving you this money, you should always be the second leading scorer.
Tobias Harris, like getting back to what I was saying about Isaac, there's some guys that are, that can score points, and there's some guys that are like bucket getters. You can't give Tobias Harris the ball and say, go get me a bucket. Mm-hmm. And we saw that last year in the playoffs when Philly played Toronto. Who could score for them when they really needed a bucket? Jimmy Butler, Mr. Buckets, and he's gone.
And Embiid,
And Embiid, of course. But I'm saying, like, the guy that gave the ball, he was hurt. And
Tobias was fine.
Tobias was fine, couldn't do a damn thing.
Yeah, that's
right. Jimmy Butler was their bucket getter, and he was gone. Ben Simmons, he's going to be the exact same player he was last year.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't see him improving at all. I really like Josh Richardson. Their first round pick of Matisse Thybulle. I've seen some highlights of him already on defense, and he looks really good. If they can get some minutes out of him, that'll be good for them. Love Al Horford. Love Embiid. Bolden and Scott probably won't play much. James Ennis, another guy that he's a 3-and-D kind of guy, a little bit worse version of Josh Richardson. I like this team a lot. I'll tell you where I see them a little bit later. Any last thoughts on?
I've been paying attention to what Simmons has been doing, and in terms of his shooting, and it does look like it's gotten better now. Again, those aren't maybe in preseason and whatever it might be in those little pickup games that they do. If he can develop even a half decent shot, he'll be much improved in my opinion. Because he really couldn't score outside the paint to save his life last year. So I have a little bit, some from what I've seen, that he has put in the work, and I think that was his biggest problem. He was a little bit lazy with that throughout his first couple of years. My biggest issue with them is I think the Al Horford move was a really good move. Him and Embiid in that front court I think is the best pairing in the whole Eastern Conference by far. They got no bench.
Best pairing center or
center power forward. All? Center power forward.
Center power forward. The duo. I don't think anyone's better in terms of that. They lost JJ Redick, which is, again, their shooting wasn't great to begin with, and I think that takes a hit. That, to me, is their only real weakness, because their starting five is probably, from like top to bottom, is probably the best in the whole conference. But with no bench, and then if there's injuries, they may have a problem. But again, their shooting isn't that great. Like the other guys that they got, like I like Scott. He's an alright player. Yeah. I think James Ennis is a decent player. I liked him when he was on Houston. Their problem is if they hit injuries, and I think Embiid again will probably miss 20 games as usual. And if
but then I was going to say you can rest their guys and play one of them at center and play small. I think that'll benefit them.
Sure, but do they have the depth to really?
I think they do. They have a lot of guys that are like 6'7", 6'8" that can play power forward.
Well, again, I personally don't think that bench is going to be good enough to win a championship, but I mean, we'll see how that pans out. But it's definitely a great starting.
We've seen worse benches with LeBron win a championship, right?
Yeah, but they don't got LeBron on that team.
Okay, on to the next. Speaking of that, champion Toronto Raptors. Lost Kawhi, lost Danny Green. Other than that, pretty much the same team coming back. Marc Gasol played, got drunk as hell at the championship parade. Got drunk as hell when he won a world championship. And the team looks good. I don't know. A lot of people in the States definitely have them written off. How do you think the squad's going to do? Where do you think they finish this year in the regular season?
I mean, to me, they're not going to... I don't have them in my top four. I think some people do have them in the top four. I don't, based on the fact that, again, you can't... I mean, they finished second last year. They lost probably, again, in my opinion, the best player in the whole conference, if not the NBA. And that's a big loss. Green, though he was terrible in the playoffs throughout, again, they're going to miss the three-point shooting. I've personally been happy with what I've seen from guys like Terrence Davis. I know we mentioned that. Mm-hmm. They're going to be a competitive team. I think Pascal will not. It's now his team. He will continue his rise. It'll really depend on the other situations. Like I said, I'm not I think Kyle's going to take another step back. He's getting older. I wasn't a huge fan of giving him the extra year, but it is what it is. It's give him a little championship situation, whatever. Give him an extra year, whatever. Make him more valuable in the next free agency year. But Mark's going to be again 35 years old. They'll benefit from having him for a full year and not trying to put him in like near the end after the trade deadline. So I think that'll benefit. But he also had a really long summer with Spain. He also won a gold medal. I still like Serge.
I think they're going to split their minutes.
That's so again, OG's a guy that if he gets healthy, might be a bit of a, not a difference maker, but someone that'll help off the bench. Stanley Johnson and Rondé Hollis Jefferson haven't been good in preseason. They got chewed out by Nick Nurse the other day. Again, I think that out of all those guys, I really like Davis. I think Davis, like I mentioned, is going to be the guy that's going to shock some people. And then Fred, we'll see what we get from Fred. If Fred from what he in the Warriors series, they may have something. But I guess again, to me personally, it's a team that makes the playoffs, might win a round, but they don't have. They don't. It's like the DeMar teams where they don't have that guy or that upper shot to win them against the higher end teams in the Eastern Conference.
Lamar?
I don't care one bit about the Raptors. Why? I'm being honest.
You bought the championship gear, now you don't care.
For money later.
But
you
made it.
Yeah. I'm watching for these next 3 years are very important to me because I'm going to watch
the fans
parade people, and I'm gonna see if you keep that same energy. I'm gonna watch. It's gonna you said. They could be in. There might be in a little bit of limbo. They could be okay, make the playoffs.
But is it not for every team except maybe 4 teams in the league? That's what I wanted to get at too.
No, well, I think the expectations are higher, obviously, because they won the championship. But
expectations anymore.
Being realistic is that I think a lot of the parade fans, like he says, probably state all they can. They were 17-5 without Kawhi. They'll still be a competitive team, but the real fans we don't know the game that you can't replace Kawhi Leonard. You can't replace Green shooting. Again, Green's obviously a little bit more replaceable, but you can't replace a guy at that level. Kawhi.
Danny Green was unplayable.
But why do you have to get rid of that?
What do you mean?
If Kawhi sat and they have won a lot of those games during the game management, why does that have to be eliminated? You should still be able to win games.
Well,
and they still will.
Okay.
And they still will. And like I said, you can't expect them to go 17-5 with and it's also the situation where you gel. They caught some teams off of back-to-backs. That 17-5 stat was very skewed in a lot of situations. They beat the Golden State Warriors, who were a full-fledged squad
without Kawhi.
Yeah, and because again, you might have some hot nights, and then that's fair. But consistently over 82 games, that won't be the case. My opinion.
I'm asking you why. Why can't it be? Why? So if they could do that against Golden State, full healthy without thing, why could that type of gameplay continue?
So I'll give you an example. The Golden State game, I remember that vividly because I watched it from pillar to post. The Warriors couldn't hit a bucket to save their lives. They shot terribly.
So
the Raptors. Again, was he saying Durant was missing shots that he would usually hit?
No, but if you make someone take a tough shot and they miss it, is it? I'm asking you, could it not be the defense too?
So they're also shooting 60%, and you're not going to really do that on a game. The Raptors shot like 60%. They blew them out, and the game was over by the end of the third quarter.
Okay.
But again, it's a situation. Will they be competitive? And you also have to think that being the champion, that they've got a target on their back. Well, they'll get everybody's best on.
You guys saying that is what's scaring me about the Raptor people. Nobody considered Cleveland any type of threat when LeBron left. So why is LeBron? Why do you guys think Toronto has a thing on their back? No one cares about Toronto. Kawhi left,
because they're better than Cleveland was. And
I understand they're better, but you guys make it look like people are looking at them like the championship thing. They don't see them as that.
They don't. No, who said they do?
You said they have a target on their back. That means they.
No, I was just trying to keep what you were saying.
They'll bring their best, and I don't think.
But you would bring their best if they're a threat, right?
But again, I don't want to go into the whole Cleveland argument, but the level of drop off with Kawhi leaving, the level of drop off.
Toronto's still a good team. You agree?
They're still a good team.
Yeah, or would you compare them with like Indiana and Miami?
Yeah.
On the same.
Miami's better than them.
Miami's better than Toronto?
Of course. You don't think so?
In a regular season, no.
So you think the Raptors? Okay, we're gonna get there.
We'll get to that. We're gonna get to that. Toronto Raptors. Since you guys are talking way too long, I'll make it quick. Kyle Lowry. He coasted to a championship. Had a great clinching game. But in the playoffs, we saw what it was. And the thing that I don't like about Kyle, and I said this a lot, I really respect that he stayed here, but you have to take it with a grain of salt because They even showed on NBA TV when Kyle re-signed his deal. He said, "Oh, I'm so happy to be here, the first deal." And you can see in his face, he was like, "Give me the money. You got to mean I'm here." Like I've said 1,000 times to some friends, if any team would have given Kyle Lowry $10 more than the Raptors would have given him, he would have been gone. And that's one thing that's kind of tough because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, but he stayed here, he is here, and he is a champion, and that's all great stuff. But if you had to give that guy a truth serum and say, if you could have left to go to Houston, Miami, any of these cities, and minus the championship, but the same regular season, would you have gone? The answer is yes.
So I just, again, it's going to be 30 seconds on this. The reality is that a lot of those people that are on that Kyle situation are guys that see the posters, see him all over the commercials and everything, and they see him as the face of the team. They don't see what's going on when he's actually on the court, for one. And I agree with you 100%. To me, that was all a facade. He wasn't going to get any more money than that $100 million that he got on that 3-year deal. And now he just got about 31 on the next one. Wasn't going to get paid that on the open market by anybody for a mid-30s point guard that you can tell is on the decline. Maybe that last game got him that extra year. Good kudos to him.
DeRozan got him that. They don't want to look this.
That's what it is. It was a taking care of our guy kind of thing, right? They're taking care of Kyle. Kyle's now received something like $150 or $160 million combined contracts. And now you can send them packing and say, hey, we did our part. We wish you the best. Thank you for what you've done. And that's it.
It'll be a trade chip next year. I guarantee it'll be a trade chip next year.
Yeah, not much of a trade chip because teams are giving first round picks anyways. It doesn't matter. Fred VanVleet, I love. I've liked Fred since before. We started this on the blog. I really liked from when he came. I always thought that he was better than DeLon. I want to see if he can be that guy as a starting point guard in the league. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, so he's going to have to put up some numbers as well. Love his pedigree. Love what he did for the team in the championship. Terrence Davis, I like as well. Explosive. Can shoot the ball a little bit undersized at 6'4", but I want to see what he can do. Similar game kind of to Norm. Very explosive. Some questions. Norm got paid a few years ago, and now he's still having to show after bad seasons and whatever if he can be any kind of guy. They're going to start him at the 2, might be a 6-man. Him and OG are kind of in the same boat to me.
Yeah,
I like them both, but I don't love them. And I think that in their element, if they're going to go out there and get you 12 to 14 points, cool. Fair. But don't expect them to be a Lou Williams, come off the bench, set it on fire. Both guys get most of their buckets on hustle, on slashing, and can hit the odd 3 and can both play defense. I like what I have from them, but not really putting too much stock into them. Front court, love Pascal. I really like the fact that he's a homegrown guy. We paid a homegrown guy. I don't see him as a top 10, top 15, even a top 20 player. Maybe top 20, but to get back to what I say a lot about Butler and these guys, in the playoffs, as you know, guys can get exposed. And they pick apart your weaknesses, and he did really good as a second or third option for Toronto. But if he's your top dog going into the playoffs and defenses are focused on him, I want to see if he can do it in the playoffs. I'm not counting him out. I'm just saying I don't know if he can do that yet. He's still a young guy, might be able to. I want to see him shoot more consistent. Other than shooting the 3 and shooting off the dribble, transition, defense, ball handling, defense, all really good stuff. Trying to get through this quick. Marcus Gasol, Serge Ibaka. I like them. They're going to split some time. Both free agents at the end of the season. Thanks for that championship and that bus parade. Lamar didn't go, but I did, and so did you. Chris Boucher, not a fan, but he's done good so far. Kudos to Chris Boucher for being the Canadian guy in the squad. That's all I got to say. Washington Wizards, just say a sentence. They re-signed Brad Beal. We don't have to hear trade talk about him anymore.
Again,
they might be one of our teams.
They'll be a bottom team. I like Bertans. I think Beal. I have no idea why he signed that new deal.
For the money.
For the money, I guess. But he could have got that. I don't know, at another place where he would have been winning. Wall's gonna miss the whole year.
Dumpster fire.
Oh yeah,
he tore his Achilles.
He's done.
He tore his Achilles like January.
So yeah, he's gonna miss the whole year. So they're not even worth mentioning.
They'll put on 40. They'll
literally be in that whole same sense with Charlotte and the Cavaliers, but they'll probably be a little bit better thanks to Beal.
Isaiah Thomas out for probably the whole season. Who knows? He's always hurt. The only guy I'm really looking forward to see if he can do anything is Rui Hachimura, their first round pick from Gonzaga. I want to see if he does anything. Obviously, Bradley Beal is incredible. Thomas Bryant playing for a contract. Yal Mahimi donated $70 million or whatever they did to him a few years ago. I haven't seen any of that.
That's a disaster.
It might be the worst team in the league. Last thoughts on Washington before we get to the playoffs?
The one thing I will say that I'm glad I have the opportunity to say is 2 years ago I picked Porter Jr. to be the Rookie of the Year, and he's healthy and he's going to play this year, and I think he's going to play amazing.
They traded him to Chicago last year.
Not Porter Jr. What's his name? The light skinned guy.
Oubre.
No.
Uber's not there either.
No, what's his name?
You probably think
Right here.
probably
That's
thinking of
15.
Uber.
Who are you thinking?
Yeah, you're thinking of Uber probably.
No. Wait, they traded the light skin guy?
Yeah, Uber.
Kelly Oubre?
Kelly
No.
Oubre.
With the earrings?
Porter.
Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah.
He's in Denver. We'll get to the West in a
Denver,
second.
sorry, Denver.
That's
Sorry.
all right.
That's Milwaukee.
Yeah, no problem. We
We
skipped
didn't
Milwaukee.
get
Okay,
on.
quickly, we run out so much time. Giannis MVP, Giannis MVP. How do you guys think they finish? Are they first or are they second?
I think I have them first. I think Giannis is going to be better and again improved. I don't like the loss of Brogdon. I think that'll be a situation. I don't know what's going to go on with Bledsoe. Wes Matthews is their only real big pickup.
And that's not a big pickup.
not a
It's the
big
only
pickup.
pickup they had. Yeah.
But again, Lopez has been reinvented. He's going to do well. I like that they were able to keep Middleton, but it's a team that, again, I think we'll get through the conference because I don't think anyone can stop the big man.
Yeah, Bledsoe is a black hole, and we saw that in the playoffs. Like, he's getting back to guys in the playoffs, how they perform. You really see what kind of guys they are. In the regular season, he'll score you 16, 18, 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
He'll play really good defense. Can't do much in the playoffs, and that's what I'm worried about. George Hill had a bit of a resurrection there, and I really liked it because you really pooed on him when he was in Cleveland saying he couldn't play the game anymore.
Well,
Well, that was probably, remember he said George Hill could
shot.
play? George Hill played last year, but it's because LeBron brought him down.
Exactly. That's what you were going on. That's all you want.
He just had to
He didn't do well for LeBron, and he said
LeBron brought him down.
I would have said it anyway. As soon as I heard you.
Sterling Brown was decent last year. I want to say Dante DiVincenzo. He won a championship with Villanova a few years ago. He was hurt most of last year. Chris Middleton they gave way too much money for. Might be a hot take, but I would if I had to pick between him and Brogdon, I would have kept Brogdon.
Wow.
And the only reason
Interesting.
in a perfect world you get rid of Bledsoe, you bring them both back. But because Bledsoe got paid, you have a bit of a problem. 200 and whatever million for Chris Middleton. He's a great player. He's a good player. He's not a great player. He's a glorified 3-and-D guy. Right? I think that he's a really solid player. He's
a three.
I guess he's kind of like a Klay Thompson super light.
Yeah.
In the sense where he can shoot the three,
comparison.
defend, right? But 200 million is way too much money in cap league.
And I'll also say the same way you thought Hill was done when he left. I'll say the same thing. Hood looked like he was done, and he did wicked in Portland. And the same way, what's his name? Derrick Rose is
Wicked
playing like
in
Michael
Portland.
Jordan right now, and he couldn't even get on the floor with LeBron.
Dwayne Wade couldn't get a lead, but he's killing
it.
LA Vegas.
What's the thing? All right, we're gonna keep this up. Everyone that leaves that bum starts playing better. Let's
So
put
I
it
would
away.
like to see. I'd have to go take a look, but I would still again because Rodney Hood again got opportunities to do and so forth. But and even with Hill, I would have to go back and see. But he was
Watch the
He
tape.
was there in Cleveland throughout the majority of the again until he got traded to Milwaukee. I think
He
it
thought
was
they
a
were all
deadline.
bums.
I thought I'm gonna take a look at those stats and
And
see
watch
how
when
he did
Kevin
in
Love
Cleveland.
goes. When Kevin Love gets free from Cleveland, watch how he rejuvenates his career.
But how's that to do with LeBron now? He's
He was a bum then, and now he's gonna be free.
He was a bum in Minnesota. He
He wasn't a bum in Minnesota.
Yeah.
30, you know, he had
How many
30,
playoffs?
he had 3 30 and 20 games.
How many
and he had
playoffs?
130 and 30
How
games.
many playoffs with Minnesota as the number one guy?
Well, that's
Carl
a
Anthony Towns didn't have it.
You're
Carl
the-
Anthony
you're
Towns
the
He
wasn't
hasn't
loser.
gonna
proven
play.
anything either.
You're the loser.
He's the number one guy in fantasy
Absolutely.
too.
Say Kyrie saying that this will be Kyrie's first year where he's the main option. See if he can really lead the team to the playoffs again.
Guys, let's show me your 1 through 8 in the East. Who you got?
No problem, sir. Number 1, Bucks, and I had to change it because I didn't know about the Wizards.
Okay.
But even though I still think
Wizards?
Washington Wizards. I didn't
Oh,
know
he
Wall was out for the
changed
year.
he
Okay.
changed his
Okay.
bottom.
But even though I think they can still make it, but I'm gonna take them out.
No.
I still think. Bucks number 1, Boston number 2, Philly number 3, Heat number 4, Raptors 5, Pistons 6, Bulls 7, and I have a tie between Hawks and Magic. And I said Hawks just because I've always picked Vince. Every time we've done this, I picked Vince.
Brooklyn doesn't make it at all.
No, not for me. You can pick what you
That's a
want.
hell of a hot take.
Yeah.
I'm up.
You go ahead and read
I
that.
got-
Spill it.
I got Bucks 1, Philly 2, Boston 3, Indiana 4, Raptors 5, Miami 6, Brooklyn 7, and Atlanta 8.
Can you say it one more time, please?
So Bucks 1, Philly 2, Boston 3, Indiana 4, Raptors 5, Miami 6, Brooklyn at 7, and Atlanta at 8.
Ours are pretty similar.
So
Okay.
Indiana's gonna make it over the Pistons.
Yes.
Okay.
Indiana barely made it. Sorry, Detroit barely made it last year. They really.
And did Indiana make it?
Yeah, Indiana was.
They lost to Boston in the first round.
Yeah, Indiana was top.
That was a series of teams that can't score.
4 and 5.
All right, my 1 through 8. Philadelphia 76ers going number 1. Milwaukee Bucks at 2. I'm taking Toronto to finish 3. Indiana, I have them at 4. I have Boston at 5. And to be honest, I might even flip that, but for now, keep. Give me Miami. I'm gonna swap that. Miami at 5, Boston at 6.
Wow.
Brooklyn at 7, and my surprise team to make the playoffs this year is gonna be Chicago. It was either gonna be Chicago or Atlanta, but I think that Chicago.
Can you say it again fast without the pause?
Philly?
Yeah.
Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Toronto?
Yeah.
Indy? Miami? Boston? Brooklyn? Chicago.
Okay, so one thing I want to make sure we're clear for both.
You have
both.
Look at those eyes.
No, but
Look at those
I'm making an adjustment too, because I'm going to take away the Magic and put Indy.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? And for tied with Hawks. But every time, if you guys know, I pick Vince. No matter what team he's on, I pick him to make the playoffs. So I'm loyal to him. But I want to make sure we're clear. You both are on camera saying
Toronto.
that Toronto is going to have a better record than the Heat. Correct? You both are saying this.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Next, we can move on.
All right, we're gonna take a break. Come back and do the Western Conference.
I can't wait for that one. The Heat are gonna destroy. They're going to destroy. But